right, boys and girls? Today we'll be learning the history of Thanksgiving. We'll sing some Thanksgiving songs and we'll do a Thanksgiving activity. Are you excited for Thanksgiving? At Thanksgiving, what do? Do you eat turkey and yams, mashed potatoes, corn, rolls, pumpkin pie? Well, do you know why we celebrate Thanksgiving? What am I dressed up as? A pilgrim. Well, before they came to America, the Pilgrims lived in England. At the time, the king was King James, like the King James Bible. He only allowed one church in all of England, the Church of England. But some people didn't agree with the practices of the church. They wanted to be able to worship God freely in their own way. They were called Separatists because they wanted to be separate from the Church of England. Those are the religious pilgrims that we think of today. King James didn't like the Separatists, so he made life really hard for them by raising their taxes, throwing them into jail, and they got persecuted for their beliefs. They just wanted to worship God in their own way and to live in peace. And so a few of the Separatist leaders like William Bradford, William Brewster, and John Carver got together and decided that they needed to leave England. Can you imagine leaving everything behind to go into the unknown? That takes so much faith. Well, they went to Holland, where the government allowed them to worship freely. And things were really good there. They lived among the Dutch for about 11 or 12 years. But the Separatists didn't want their children to forget the English language or their English roots. So they decided to go to the New World, America. But they didn't have the money for a ship and supplies to go on such a long journey. Wow, businessmen in England agreed that they would lend the Separatists the money that they needed for their big trip if they would send the Separatists back from America fish and furs and lumber for 7 years. That's a long time. Really big ask. But the Pilgrims were desperate. There was no other way, so they agreed. With the money from the businessmen, the Separatists hired a ship, the Mayflower, and its crew. But the Mayflower was harbored all the way in England, and the Separatists were still living in Holland at the time. So, to get from Holland to England, where the Mayflower was, the Separatists bought an old ship called the Speedwell. Now, not everyone could go on the Speedwell, so some Separatists had to stay behind in Holland. The Separatists knew that they needed some skilled workers to help them survive in the wilderness. So they did hire some people with various skill sets to go with them to the New World, like Miles Standish, for example, who was a professional soldier, in order to be able to help defend them when they got there. There were even more Separatists back in England. So on August 5th, 1620, the Pilgrims all loaded aboard the Mayflower and the Speedwell and set sail for the New World. But the Speedwell had a leak, and so they had to turn around. Some passengers from the Speedwell had to stay behind in England, but the rest crowded onto the Mayflower, setting sail once again on September 6th of 1620. There were about 20 to 30 crew members on the Mayflower and 102 passengers, 34 of whom were children like you. And before the Pilgrims landed, there was a new passenger. A baby was born on the Mayflower, crossing the Atlantic Ocean, and guess what his parents named him? Oceanus. A pilgrim is anyone who goes on a long journey. So the Pilgrims were all of the people who came on the Mayflower. But the Separatists were the people who were going for religious reasons. Other people came to look for work or for adventure. The Separatists called those other people strangers. Surprisingly, the Separatists did not make up the majority of passengers. Of the 102 passengers on the Mayflower, only about 40 were Separatists. Where they were going, it would be dangerous. They wouldn't have homes, money, or maybe even food. But their beliefs in God were more important than any of those things. It was dangerous for only one ship to make such a long journey. Back then, ships almost never sailed alone. What would happen if they were shipwrecked or ran out of food and supplies? Who would get word to England? Storms could be very dangerous. God preserved them, and they had many miracles along the way. For example, in one storm, the main beam cracked. The ship might have sunk, but someone remembered a big iron screw that they had brought from Holland to help them build houses in the New World. They used it to fix the beam and put it back in place. During that storm, one man named John Holland was washed overboard. He fell right over the boat, the ship. Miraculously, though, he caught hold of a line and he was pulled back aboard. Everyone prayed during the storm, and God answered their prayers. The Pilgrims finally saw land on November 9th, 1620. They first landed on Cape Cod, which is today known as Provincetown. Their voyage had taken 66 long days. As soon as they saw land, they prayed to thank God. We celebrate Thanksgiving today because of the example that the Pilgrims showed us in giving thanks to God. And so I wrote a little Thanksgiving song about giving thanks to God and the traditions that we have today with Thanksgiving. You probably haven't heard very many Thanksgiving songs. Well, here's a new one. Turkey, yams, and cranberry, rolls and pie make me happy. All the food at Thanksgiving is just so good. Corn, green beans, and mashed potatoes, stuffing stuffs me up. But though my belly may get full, my heart knows the food's not all. That makes this day so special. It's much, much more. We remember Pilgrims landing, giving thanks to God. And just like them, we give thanks too. For our blessings, there's quite a few. Our God gives us everything 'cause He's so good. Yes, He's so good. The Pilgrims were thankful. After that long and scary voyage on the ocean, they were happy to see land, but also a little scared. They had no houses to live in, so when they got there, they had to stay on the Mayflower until they could build places to live. While they were still on the Mayflower, the Pilgrim leaders drafted an agreement called the Mayflower Compact. The Mayflower Compact gave the people the right to choose their own leaders, and it said that the majority should rule, not a king. It also promised fair laws. They made John Carver their first governor, and when he died only a few months later, William Bradford was elected and served as governor for 30 years. The Pilgrims decided not to stay on Cape Cod where they'd first landed. For one thing, the water around the shore wasn't deep enough for ships to come and go. So some of the Pilgrims went off to explore and find another good place. And on December 11th of 1620, they came to Plymouth. Plymouth Rock is where they landed. But the Pilgrims still had no houses to live in, so they continued to live on the Mayflower for 3 months until they could build shelters to live in. That first winter, sickness was a problem, and about half of the Pilgrims and sailors died, leaving only 52 Pilgrims. About 25 of them, half, were children like you. 3 months after the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth, they met their first friend, Samoset. He came to them and introduced himself, and he welcomed them in English. He told them that he had learned English from visiting English fishermen. There were other Indians nearby, and Samoset was visiting them, the Wampanoag Indians, who were ruled by Chief Massasoit. Later, Samoset came back and visited the Pilgrims, and he introduced them to another friend, Squanto. Squanto was a Patuxet Indian. Before the Pilgrims named Plymouth, it was called Patuxet, and the Patuxet Indians had lived there. Squanto was a Patuxet Indian, and he knew how to speak English because a long time ago he had been kidnapped and taken as a slave into Europe. But he was able to get free and return to the New World. And he came back to Patuxet. Everyone was gone. 4 years before the Pilgrims got to Patuxet, or Plymouth, a strange sickness had killed everyone in the Patuxet tribe, except for Squanto, because he had been gone. Well, Squanto stayed with the Pilgrims in Plymouth for the rest of his life, and he literally saved their life. They couldn't have survived without him. He showed them how and where to catch fish and where to hunt for deer and turkey and other animals. He showed them where wild plants and herbs grew and how to use them to make their food taste better. He told them where to plant corn and showed them how to do it with fish, with the corn kernels and fish to make their corn grow better. And he was an interpreter between the Pilgrims and the Indians, helping them to draft a peace treaty signed by Governor Carver and Chief Massasoit. This next song is another Miss Jules original. It's about enjoying the fun traditions that we have at Thanksgiving by remembering the things that matter most too. Pie, 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 I love pie, every kind I want to try. Apple, pumpkin, and pecan, and they're so good, but the list goes on. Don't forget chocolate mousse, which pie's best? I can't choose. Pie, 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 I love pie, I love sharing it with my mom and dad and siblings too, aunts and uncles, cousins, crew, family, friends, join as one. Thanksgiving is so fun. We love pie, but even more, we love to be together. The Pilgrims were blessed. Their crop had come in and they had food to eat. They had some houses to live in now. The sickness was all over. They were friends with the Indians, and most importantly, they had found a place to live where they could worship God freely. So they decided to set aside a special time to give thanks. That first Thanksgiving was in the middle of October in the year 1621. The Pilgrims invited Chief Massasoit to bring some of his friends, and he brought more than a few. He brought 90 hungry Indian braves. And that first Thanksgiving wasn't just one day like it is today, it was 3 whole days. And they had so much to eat for it. They had wild turkey, wild goose, wild ducks, and they lived right along the shore. So they also had a lot of seafood like lobster and eels, crabs, oysters, and many other kinds of fish. And the Indians killed 5 deer. They also had corn and popcorn and vegetables from their gardens. And for dessert, they had some berries and fruit. The women and the girls did all that cooking, while the men and the boys went and played games with the Indians and shot arrows with them and stuff. Well, in some big cities today, they have Thanksgiving parades. But I just learned that first Thanksgiving, they really did have a parade. Miles Standish started it. Someone played the drum, someone blew a trumpet, and a small group of soldiers marched and fired off their guns. Well, just like watching a Thanksgiving parade on TV or maybe in person might be a tradition in your family for Thanksgiving, what are some other traditions that you might have today on Thanksgiving? Do you eat a turkey and pie and rolls? Do Do you gather together with your friends and family? Do you maybe play games? One tradition that we've started doing in our family is building up to Thanksgiving, make a Thanksgiving tree. And we can write things that we're thankful for on leaves that we can stick up on the tree to remember all the things that God has given us, how blessed we are and how grateful we are to Him for everything that we have. What are some things that you're thankful for? Let's do this little activity together with Mr. Gabe. Okay, this is our thankful tree. So Mommy wrote down some of your favorite things that you're thankful for, and now we need to put the leaves on the bare tree. Are you thankful for your family? Yeah, you're thankful for brother and Mommy and Daddy, huh? Are you thankful for books? You can put it anywhere on the tree you want. You love to read, huh?
Yes, I love that.
Good. You're thankful for Christmas? Are you excited for Christmas? Oh no, the leaf fell down! Oh no, the leaf got ripped! It's okay, you can just put it on the tree. I can take it later if you want. Oh, here, I'll help you. Okay, ready? Are you thankful for dinosaurs? Yeah! Good job. Okay, oh, how about puzzles? Are you thankful for puzzles? You love doing puzzles and you're so good at puzzles, huh? Ooh, are you thankful for fruit snacks? Yeah, you are. Okay, let's do one more. Good job. Wow, your tree's starting to look really good. And the playground. Are you thankful for the playground and slides? Do you like to play with brother? Good job. We should make some more of these, huh? That's pretty good so far. Yeah, look at all those leaves. Instead of singing our goodbye song today, we're gonna send you off with my favorite Thanksgiving song that I learned as a little girl growing up because my mom would sing it to us. Here we go. The Pilgrims and the Indians had a powwow a long time ago. The Pilgrims and the Indians felt like having a party, and so the Pilgrims and the Indians cooked a turkey and Indian corn, sat down and ate together, and that is how Thanksgiving was born.